Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a 50-year-old law with a surprisingly modern mission to protect your money in a traditional community-based savings system. So let's break down how it works.
So let's paint a picture. You've got a big expense coming up, maybe a wedding, starting a business, or that down payment on a house. You need a pretty significant amount of cash, but a traditional bank loan just isn't an option. Or maybe it's just not the right fit for you. So where do you turn?
For a lot of people, this is exactly where a Chit fund comes in. It's a really powerful way for a community to save and borrow money by pooling their resources. But with any kind of financial arrangement, the big question is always the same, right? How do you know if it's safe?
While in Andhra Pradesh, the answer lies in the Chit Funds Act of 1971. And you should think of this not as some kind of suggestion. No, it's a mandatory rulebook, and it's designed from the ground up to protect every single member. Let's see exactly how it does that.
See, for a Chit fund to even be considered legal, the organizer, who's called the foreman, they can't just put up a sign and start taking your money. Nope. The law lays out this really strict 4-step process they absolutely must follow, making sure everything is documented and above board right from the very beginning.
Now, of all those steps, there's one that is by far your biggest safety net. We're talking about the security deposit. And this isn't just some formality, okay? It's a crucial financial guarantee that forces the foreman to have real skin in the game, so they can't just vanish with everyone's hard-earned money. And yeah, we are talking a serious amount of money here. The law demands the foreman deposit at least half of the entire Chit value. And get this, they have to do it before they collect a single rupee from anyone. That security is then held by a totally neutral third party, the registrar, specifically for your protection. Okay, so the whole system is built on a couple of key players with really clearly defined roles. It's super important to understand who does what to see how the whole thing clicks together.
All right, you basically got two main players on the field. First, there's the foreman. They're the ones running the show, and they have a legal duty to manage everything by the book. And then there's you, the subscriber. Your main job? Just make your payments on time. The act is crystal clear. There's no gray area here.
And, to keep everything on the level, the act does something really smart. It puts a hard cap on how much the foreman can earn, a maximum of 5% of the total Chit amount. That simple rule makes sure the whole thing is run for the benefit of the members, not just to make the organizer rich. Okay, so you've done your homework, you've joined a registered Chit, you know who the players are. So now we get to the fun part. How do you actually get the money when it's your turn? First things first, let's talk about the total pot of money that's up for grabs each month. In the language of the Act, that's called the Chit amount. It's pretty simple. It's the total of what every single person contributes for that installment, before any deductions are made.
But here's the clever part. The winner doesn't just walk away with that entire pot. They win by bidding what's called a discount. That's the amount they agreed to leave behind for the rest of the group. And this is genius, because that money they leave behind, it's used to pay the foreman's commission and to give a small profit, a dividend, back to every other member in the Chit.
So that brings us to the most important term for the winner, the prize amount. That's the actual cash you take home. It's the total Chit amount times minus the discount you just bid. You see how smart that is? The system gets cash to whoever needs it most urgently, but it also creates a small financial return for everyone else who's waiting.
Now, getting that prize money early is great, but it does come with a really important responsibility. The law, Section 23 to be exact, says you have to provide enough security to guarantee you're going to keep making your monthly payments until the very end. This is all about protecting the other members who are still waiting their turn. It's fair for everyone. Of course, with any kind of financial plan, the big what-if question is always hanging in the air, right? What happens if things go wrong? What if the foreman messes up or, worse, does something shady? Well, the Act has some powerful safety nets built in for exactly that kind of scenario. Okay, Section 38. Think of this as the law's muscle. It gives a court the power to come in and forcibly shut down a Chit for any of these really serious violations. So we're not talking about a little slap on the wrist here. This shows the law has some real teeth to protect subscribers. And this right here, this is the ultimate protection for you. If a Chit goes belly up or gets shut down, Section 34 of the Act is absolutely explicit. You, the subscribers, you get paid back first from whatever assets are left. Your money gets top priority over pretty much any other creditor out there. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? The AP Chit Funds Act is this incredibly powerful piece of regulation, not because it tries to get rid of a traditional system, but because it wraps it in this strong framework of transparency, accountability, and security. It basically transforms a community savings plan into a regulated, reliable financial tool.
And that leaves us with one last thought to chew on. In today's world of fintech, peer-to-peer lending apps, and all this talk about decentralized finance, what can we learn from a law that figured out how to successfully regulate a peer-to-peer financial system more than half a century ago? It kind of makes you think. The core principles of transparency, security, and accountability, they're absolutely timeless.